In this video we will teach you how to connect Modbus-RTU sensors, not included in the 3-dome sensors list, to alpha log. If you need to connect to alpha log sensors with serial output and Modbus-RTU protocol, which are not supplied by LSI LastM, before to start the sensor configuration using 3-dome, it is important to obtain information about the communication details and other features of the sensor. The following information is required. Serial line type. It can be RS-232 or RS-485. Communication parameters as baud rate, parity, and stop bits. Details of the data inquiry as Modbus address, function code which can be read holding register or read input register. Its register address and number of registers. The data format. It can be floating, or 16-bit integer, or 16-bit signed integer, or 32-bit integer, or 32-bit signed integer. Its scale factor. This is required only if integer types are used, and then the byte order, which can be default endian or little endian or big endian or reverse endian. The error value used by the sensor in case of measurement problems. Its power supply. It should be from 12 to 30 volts DC. If sensor is powered by alpha log, power consumption information is important, to decide in which way to receive the power supply. And finally the pin out of the cable. Attention! When using the standard power devices inside the ELF boxes, supplied by LSI LastM, the power consumption of the sensor cannot be more than 2 ampere. Before to enter the Modbus parameters in 3-dome program, we suggest you to test the sensor activity by PC, using a Modbus server simulator program on PC. Because actually the RS-485 and RS-232 ports are not available on most of the personal computers, you will need a RS-485 to RS-232 converter, and a serial line to USB converter. Here you can see how this system could be set in case of RS-485 Modbus sensor. In case of sensors with RS-232 output, connect the TXD, RXD and ground wires from the sensor to the DEA608 adapter. Connect the power supply cable to the terminals 14 positive and 16 negative of the alpha log terminal board. Connect the DEA608 adapter to the port number 2 of alpha log. In case of sensors with RS-485 output, connect the data positive and data negative wires from the sensor directly in the terminals 27 positive and 28 negative of alpha log. If ground wire is available, connected to terminal 29. Connect the sensor power supply cable to the terminals 14 positive and 16 negative of the alpha log terminal board. Now we can proceed to enter sensor details inside 3-dome. Open 3-dome, open configuration. Go to input types and click on add. Select Modbus-RTU master and press add again. Enter the information you obtained about the Modbus sensor. Serial line. Use port number 2 for RS-232 sensor as in this example, or port number 3 for RS-485 sensor. Speed, parity, and stop bits. Normally use the default timeout and retize details. Click on OK to save it. Go to Measures and click on Add. Click here to create a new empty measure for each quantity arriving from the sensor. If you have one sensor measuring two quantities, you need to repeat 2 times this part of the procedure. In the input type value, select Modbus-RTU master in COM2 in this example. Click here to access to the list of the Modbus parameters. Sensor network address, 1 in this case, select the function code in command, address register number containing the measurement of this quantity from the sensor, data format, order of bytes using the abbreviations reported here. Enter yes, and its error value, if the sensor sends error value in case of problems. Click on OK. Select General to enter the parameter name and its measurement unit. The precision type, which is the number of digits after the comma in the measure type from the list. And the measure properties. Select sampling, and in update time rate, type a value greater or equal to the sensor sampling rate. About power mode, if the sensor is powered by alpha log from terminals 14 and 16, in powering mode, select not powered. If the power arrives from one of the actuators, as in the case power arrives from solar panel, select the actuator number and warm-up time used by alpha log to power up the sensor before the acquisition. Select elaborations and set the elaboration rates as described in tutorial number 8. At the end, click on OK and OK to save the changes. Check the warning messages, if any. Click on Save to save the configuration. Check the warning messages, if any. Click on OK. Ignore the connectivity test at this stage.